think it's, she just has to sign in, right?
Yeah.
If she,
Yeah. No, she didn't. Well, like I was looking in my car, cause you know, I don't even bring my thing. Okay, so we typically would release the key when they pay their security and the
What?
rent,
I'm
right?
sorry, what?
We release the key when they pay the security and the rent, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cause they can do security
Mm-hmm.
and,
Well, they're supposed to move in on the 15th, but he wants a key so he can go over there.
yeah, you can't give them a key until you have the rent.
Okay.
And you don't wanna give it to him early, you know, because he doesn't have it until the 15th, so he can pick it up on the 14th.
Well, it's in a lockbox.
Right. I know Jim always gives them the key, the lockbox combo, but.
So this agent, I wanna turn his broker in.
His broker?
Or I wanna turn him in to his broker.
What did he do?
So,
All right, so let's get started. I'm Gabriel.
Hi Gabriel, I'm Cindy, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Cindy. And we met, but not
Yeah,
formally now.
Leah.
Leah.
Yeah,
Leah.
we all work for the same company.
And Miss Joy, I met at an event, I guess a few weeks ago. I was asked to come and do a meet and greet and discuss a little bit about the services we actually are going to talk about today. All right, I think you guys are going to get a lot of good information out of this, and I believe in these small meetings, we still can get a lot accomplished.
Hey,
42 people signed up
wow.
to be here, and they say 50% typically will show. But we have a car show downstairs, all the parking is blocked off, so
Right.
well, we'll see how it goes. But I'm the CEO of Vivex Credit Solutions. I've been here in Las Vegas for 14 and a half years, okay? And we're a licensed and bonded credit service organization. We're also licensed with the MLD, the Mortgage Lending Division, okay? Now, the purpose of this workshop is I want to show you how you can virtually 10x your credit data security, 10x your credit data security, and potentially 10x your chance to get approved for more credit, okay? And the service that we're going to be talking about is data report repair. Data report repair, okay? So you have credit report repair, which you all know, credit repair. And then you have data report repair, which is picking up a lot nowadays because mortgage bankers, realtors now are starting to hear about these data reports.
What is the difference between data and credit?
I'm gonna go into that with you. Let me give you a little bit of history on me, and then I'll go right into the talk. I'm from Virginia. I moved here in 2005, and I started working with this company as a credit consultant. After being here for about 10 years, I ended up writing a book called From Homeless to Black Cards. From Homeless to Black Cards. And it was the most frequently asked questions of me in my 10 years by doing consultations, 30-minute consultations, you know, every day. Whoever came for the consultations, I did them all, okay? And then we hired Miss Bianca Zamora, who was our office manager. And then she started taking the consultations, and I started going out in the field speaking at the GLVAR, at mortgage companies, at radio shows. I hosted a radio show for 3.5 years called Help Your Life, and I would answer any questions about credit on the radio. And now I travel and do some speaking events, okay? Now, in the 14 years of doing credit repair, some of the things that I discovered that was challenging for our clients is we would put every client through the same process, a 4-month process, right? Our letters were custom, and we would, every 30 days, do the disputes on everything negative on the client's credit report. But where the challenge came in is when we were trying to rebuild their credit, we would send them to a small list of companies in the city of Las Vegas and say, go here, based on your credit report, you need to open a revolving account. Or go here, based on your credit report, you need to open a credit rebuilder installment account. And the clients would come back and say, Mr. Brown, I got approved for 500. I got approved for 1,500. I got approved for 2,500. And I was noticing that there was some disparity in the actual approval amounts for people with similar backgrounds. Okay, so what I noticed is, let's say Joy graduated from college with her high school friend, and they both came from the same neighborhood, they went to the same college, they studied the same curriculum, and they graduated and got recruited by the same employer. All right? So now they have some challenges with their credit that they want to tweak it just a little bit, and I send them to the credit rebuilder list. Joey gets approved for $3,500, and her girlfriend gets approved for $5,000. And they're there completing the applications together, and they look at each other. How much did you get approved for? And of course, you're wondering what makes the difference between the $1,500 more she got and that I didn't get. And you'll walk with that question in your mind, but you'll never really know who to contact to get the answer. And you think it's just a roll of the dice. You just think there's just some reason she got an extra $1,500, right? And so I started keeping a dossier. Now, the reason I'm saying you would think that there's a roll of the dice, they both have this similar credit history, same age, grew up in the same neighborhood, work at the same job, same income. Why would one get a higher approval than the other?
Because, you want me to tell you?
Well,
I don't know if it's true.
that's a rhetorical question. We're gonna get to the Q&A. I'm just posing these questions because this is really what's gonna trigger you to understand what I thought about it. My background is a degree in finance, so I started looking at this closely. And as I was keeping a dossier on the clients with similar backgrounds, similar credit history, been in the bureau the same amount of time, right? Similar income, all right? Race had nothing to do with it. I thought it did at first, but it didn't. And so when I started keeping the dossier, I started realizing there were some nuances that I had to pay attention to, okay? The mother's maiden name on the credit app, what is that for? Why does a creditor ask what your mother's maiden name is?
To see how she took care of her credit.
Okay, okay. How would they?
Identification purpose?
Identification or security purposes, right? Well, how would a creditor that's accessing your credit access your mother's credit information?
I don't know.
Okay.
If they don't have her information other than her name, but.
What about the social security number?
But you're not putting your mother's social security number on your credit app.
Right.
On your credit app, they ask for your mother's maiden name, and you just write it because you believe, hey, let me just fill in as many of the blanks as I can. Well, let's talk about that. Your mother's maiden name, okay, is one, a security question that you can't answer when they call in to verify that you're you. But two, you have generational curses and you have generational wealth.
Yeah.
Now look at what's happening. You all sparked up on that, okay? So now we see that the creditors are doing some research on how far the fruit falls from the tree, okay? And because you may make it out of a certain neighborhood with your family and you move because you have that drive and that aspiration, but your mother will stay in the same house for how many years?
Forever.
Too long, 20 or 30 years.
Forever.
Come on in, sir. Come on in. There, can you do? Have a seat here, anywhere you like. So they check your mother's maiden name and they use a data report, not a credit report, because they don't have your mother's social security number and they don't have permissible use. Correct? So now that they know your mother's maiden name, they use a data report to research her to find out the generational wealth or lack thereof. Which data report are they using for that?
Data report, you said.
Which data report are they using? Because they have your credit report. Now, which data report can they use to research information on your mother? See that?
The information that she give other people to collect, right? Like when she signed up for a credit card.
But how do they find that information on your mother if that's confidential?
Well, in the fine print, it shows that they can give certain data information
She's
out.
digging, right? Yeah, isn't that good?
For like with anything, even with like AT&T, they say that they can give out information to affiliated
Okay,
companies, you know?
very good. Now let's talk. She probably got some insight from the last workshop.
No, I
I'm just
didn't.
kidding.
Don't do that.
I'm just kidding, I'm just
Don't
kidding.
do that.
So the data reports that they would use to check on your mother, all right, are statistical data reports that we can talk about. For instance, we have a zip code statistical report, all right, that will tell what? The property values,
Yeah.
if they're depressed or appreciating, the crime rate in the community,
Demographics,
right? The educational rate, if people in that community have degrees, okay, or not, right? So all this statistical data can be gathered on your mother or a family member that you put down, right? And this is all under marketing research. Marketing research, okay? And this also comes out through what bureau? The Census Bureau, right? When they collect this information. So now they have access to your credit reports, your income, everything that you own and have, and then they have the data reports that they collect on relatives or family members, right? And then they compile that information and create an average, and it has a trajectory or a projection of the likelihood of you paying these debts, and someone can get a higher score
If they have somebody who
if the
has
data reports for
for your
you and the other parties that they research
are good.
support a higher limit.
But, so you, when they ask for your mother's maiden name,
Mhm.
can you put down somebody else's
Like
name?
Trump.
That was funny.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
I say just don't put anything there,
Oh.
okay? Don't put anything there, because it's not required. It's
Do
not
you
required.
think that it would give you a higher credit if your family has?
If your mother's zip code is 90210, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so depending on the statistical data for the zip code would depend,
Or,
yes, on, it has a influence.
Yeah.
Okay, influence. Now, do banks, say for instance, let's go a little deeper. So let's say a Platinum American Express card, right? If you live in a zip code that the average income is lower than the requirement for, or the requisite for a Platinum American Express, how many pre-approvals do you think are sent that way? All right? If you live in a zip code where the crime rate is really high, right? And the potentiality of you getting in trouble or having a challenge with trouble around you, right? These are all data reports that are considered in the background by creditors. Now let's go a little deeper because you're realtors. What data report will a mortgage company pull for a mortgage applicant that has perfect credit?
Go Cindy.
Perfect credit. 750 credit score. Been on the job 5 years. 2 years tax returns qualified. 3 bank statements, 2 pay stubs. Everything looks great. Money in the bank has been seasoned.
Background?
What report will the mortgage company pull with no really real strong reason to, but it's just now a part of the process?
Like your criminal report?
LexisNexis.
LexisNexis.
They'll pull the LexisNexis report. And LexisNexis is a report that reveals public records, okay, all over the country. Okay, now, credit repair could what? Get a public record deleted, yes or no? That's what credit repair does. It gets negative notations deleted from your credit report. But guess what? Mortgage bankers decided to delve deeper to mitigate their risk of what? Providing a loan for a house that could be foreclosed on because there's public records or this person's past pay experience was masked by credit repair. And so now the mortgage company is doing a little deeper research and they don't want what? A lien against the what? Against the property. So now who would have to pay, if the house is foreclosed on, who would have to pay the lien?
The new buyer.
okay, someone would have to pay the lien for someone else. So LexisNexis does the public records for mortgage companies, but guess what else LexisNexis will provide? They provide a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 reports in one report here. All right? You have Clue report. All right? Clue, C-L-U-E.
I remember that.
Okay, and that's an auto report. Okay, you have a property report. You have a carrier report for what insurances are you carrying, right? You have a traffic violation report that goes back to when you were 18 years old, 16 when you got your driver's license. Okay, why would that information be included?
Even if they got knocked down to a parking ticket?
Everything. After it was yes, okay. You have the Banco report, which in LexisNexis, this will tell if you have any bankruptcies. Now, if you got those deleted from your credit report,
They will be on.
they won't be on the credit report.
They'll be on Lexus?
But LexisNexis will carry that because LexisNexis is a what? Data report. I say data, you say data. Yeah, that's all right. And then you have collection decisions report, life public record report. Did you know you have a life public record report?
What is that, like, public?
Public record, so they check your entire life to see if you've had any public records around. Okay, and so that basically go back to probably when you were 18. All right, and then your risk view report, okay, which lenders can assess. Come on, answer. Okay.
Anything on the property.
Your property.
Yes, okay, and LexisNexis will also provide the data on properties, okay, the values, all right. They even have a creditor matrix section. Okay, so basically LexisNexis is almost the equivalent of a credit report, okay?
And then they want your DNA?
And then they'll have some DNA next, right?
Yeah.
So now you know that data report could cause you to have a deal that's with your mortgage bank or your loan officer to be rejected, right? So what we do is we tell clients to freeze the LexisNexis report. And then what happens is the mortgage banker or the LO has to say, we need you to remove the security freeze from your LexisNexis report so we can review it. And then you have the option to say why. What does that have to do with my loan application? See how you're taking back your power now? Okay, now if you didn't know about the LexisNexis report and they asked and they reviewed it and you had a 720 credit score and everything else was good, you would be upset that something out there about you that you didn't have access to stopped you from buying your home. What if you went through this entire process and you were ready, you found your house, it's time constraints, everything is on the line, and the timing is so important, and now you have to contact an out-of-state courthouse to find out about a debt that's supposedly in your name, but really could be somebody else's debt.
Right.
And now you gotta resolve that and get that documentation back to the bank, the loan officer, and try to have that fixed, okay?
Who's your EMD?
Yes. So here I am looking at these little nuances on why clients can't get approved. So I discovered the city score. You know your city has a credit score. Did you know your neighborhood has a credit score?
That's crazy.
So now when I'm thinking of how approvals, okay, are being used or being assessed, the city score for Henderson is a 687, Las Vegas 647, North Las Vegas 629, Mesquite 710, Boulder City 700, okay? So your cities have a score and your neighborhood has a score.
Is that city score like an aggregate of everyone that applies in the community or something?
I believe it is. This is provided.
It has a higher score than Henderson?
Yes,
Local
That's crazy.
is the highest.
yes, yes,
Well, you got renters, and I'm assuming that they use that information as well.
yes.
Right.
Okay? So you have to know your city score. You need to definitely know your neighborhood score, because what I teach is a zip code protocol. Okay? Your zip code, because now we know LexisNexis has all the data reports for your zip code. Now what I teach clients is how to use a different zip code for your mailing address. Okay? All right? So for instance,
Post office box.
yes, but a post office box, it doesn't say
With
PO. Yeah, it has like a physical address, but it is a box.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like Jim and Carol's.
Yeah.
Charleston.
Yeah, and this is not gray. This is something that you can use because
You have a PO box with a
Address.
yes, with a physical address. It looks almost like it's a residential address, but it's a PO box.
As a matter of
That's
fact,
Jim's.
That's the one
That's
that
58
Jim has on
for
Charleston.
I had some friends
That's
that
a
work
UPS.
for the
It's a
feds,
box.
Uh-huh.
they said they're mandated to use a
Yes.
address outside of a 2-mile radius of where their
Now listen,
residence is.
this is a very good point this gentleman just made. Now let me pivot right off of that point. Secondary credit file numbers and CPN numbers, right? SCNs and CPNs. Are they legal or illegal? What do you think?
I think they're legal,
They're legal with the proper use,
yes.
okay? Celebrities, agents, Secret Service, these people can have a number to mask their social security number, okay?
And
But-
they are legal?
Yes, but I don't recommend them to clients. In the industry, there's a lot of vacillating between is it legal or illegal. I say personally, don't use them. Whether it's illegal or legal, I say don't use them, okay? Just use your social security number. Because if you're trying to evade having your social security number accessed because of challenged credit and dance over to a new CPN or SCN, the intent is wrong. You are almost, in my mind, defrauding the bank by having a social security number that is in bad shape as far as negative notations, and then create a CPN or SCN and start fresh. That's kind of,
The intentions behind it.
the intent behind that seems a little gray, and you're defrauding the bank, okay? It's challenging enough to know that you had credit repair, but at least you had your social security number. You didn't go in with a CPN, okay? That's challenging enough.
So would that be an option for a person who goes through identity theft? to do
Yes,
CPN?
you see, the intent is different.
Yeah, right.
See that? Now, they're stepping away from something someone has abused and misused and potentially can continue doing it.
Yeah,
So they shouldn't be punished for that,
yeah.
right? So that's a good intent for a CPN or SCN. But to just get away from bad credit and to go into a bank and
The intention.
represent yourself, that's the real way of saying it. You're representing yourself.
Well, God
Okay.
says renew your mind daily. No.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. So now we know we have the neighborhood score, we have the city score. Now we know we have the data reports about the community, the zip code, the education, the crime, right? And now we know the mother's maiden name,
Yes.
okay? As far as generational wealth or generational curses, okay? Now, when we're talking about how you can potentially 10x your chances to access additional credit, there are more than just the reports that we just talked about, LexisNexis. Now let's go a little deeper. There's a payroll data report. How important could that be when someone is applying for credit? Because right now it's 50-50, the honor system. Tell us what you make, and we hope you would round down, not up.
Most people round up.
Right? Tell us what you make, and because your credit score is so important to that process of the integrity of us believing if you're telling us the truth about what you make, we could do an instant approval for you. I'm speaking for a banker or a lender or creditor, based on the credit score and based on you rounding up and not punish you by saying you defrauded us or you misled us. But because so many people have created fake pay stubs, yes or no? Fake tax returns, yes or no? The banks are starting to feel like we need to get more insight to protect ourselves, to mitigate the risk of loaning to the wrong person. So now there are payroll data reports where they access your payroll without you knowing. Because it's a data report. On the data reports, there is no inquiry section on your credit report for it to show. You see that?
Yeah.
So it's without you knowing, but as Ms. Joy said earlier, in the small print, they speak of affiliates and subsidiaries, which we're going to talk about next, and they don't disclose those affiliates and subsidiaries to you. But the law says in any adverse action, you must disclose information considered that could have had an adverse effect. Yes or no?
Yes.
So, pin that point there. So what will a data report have and how would it affect you? Well, you know Prosper. Anyone knows Prosper, the company, right? Prosper was sending me pre-approval so regularly that I decided to see what they would approve me for. And with an 800 credit score, they declined me. I was like, wow. There used to be a time when a pre-approval was really a pre-approval.
Yes.
Where you just call in and verify some points of data, your name, your address, you still work here, this is your phone number, and boom, we're gonna send you the credit card, right? But now a pre-approval is really a pre-selection. And a pre-selection is, well, you almost made it to where we like you, but we're not sure if we really like you, right? So I called Prosper because a declination is only an invitation to renegotiation.
You said that pretty good.
Okay? A declination is only an invitation to renegotiation. Never accept the declination. Always see the reasons that they decline you and call and question them. Because sometimes hearing your voice and hearing how intelligent you are about credit will sway the bank or the lender to approve you. Okay? So never take the declination as a final notice. Now, so I called Prosper and they said, well, Mr. Brown, you're not employed. I'm not employed. I put my employer there. I've been on the job 13 years, right? 12 years back then. And they said, well, can you send in pay stubs and this and the third? And I was like, I wasn't that interested in Prosper. Right? You know how something, right? You called me. You petitioned me. Now I have to dock up like I'm buying a house, right? So I found this payroll report. Okay, let me show it to you here. It says Gabriel E. Brown is what? Inactively employed since when?
2005.
2005. Okay, guess what else it says? Gabriel's average hours per week. If I work less than 40 or less than 25, it will tell my total breakdown of base pay, overtime, commission, bonuses, other income, associated pay plans. This payroll report breaks down my payroll almost better than the actual payroll team or payroll department. Okay, and you've probably never seen your payroll report. All right, now the bankers access this, and when they access it, they don't tell you, and so they know exactly how much you make. So what's the point of filling out the application? Because they don't want you to know they know this. It's behind your back. It's a data report. Okay? But guess who they said pulled the data report? Who accessed this data report? Verifiers who have requested this data report in the last 24 months is who? Prosper. So when Prosper sent me the declination, They didn't say because of your payroll report, they just said, watch this. Information, this is what it says on the declination letter. Our decision was based, not in whole, but in part, on information received from Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion, and information obtained from our affiliates and subsidiaries. You never paid attention to that. You never cared who the affiliates and subsidiaries were. You just thought, I'm declined, so what? When let's see here. Let me show where it says that. All right, this is a declination letter from Rolls-Royce. It says, our credit decision was based in whole or in part on information obtained from our affiliate or from an outside source other than a consumer reporting agency. So guess what I started doing?
Finding out who those people
I
are.
started writing letters saying, who are your affiliates?
Right.
Who are your subsidiaries? And they pushed back. They didn't want to answer.
Disclose, yeah.
Are those all of the people?
These are all of the data reports.
Jeez.
There's 70 plus data reports here. Okay? So you are looking at 3 credit reports because you only want to do credit report repair. And you think, I have a 780 credit score. I'm good as gold. I humbly submit you have data reports that are causing you to have your credit capped. Something capping your credit. All right? Now, we're going to go into some more data reports. Let me ask you this. Do you need a subpoena to access someone else's banking account?
Yes. Typically.
Yeah. If I want to access your bank account, is there any way I can get the information?
If you're a criminal, you could.
Okay, I'm not a criminal. Let's go the other way. Let's go far right. Subpoena.
Yeah.
What else?
For your permission,
A written
whether
permission.
known or
Okay,
unknown.
okay. I don't permit you. So how do you access my banking activity if I don't permit it?
I guess the only other way is legally, so go through, like you said,
A
a subpoena.
subpoena. Okay. What if I told you I can pull a data report on you that will show me 10 years of your banking history, all your debits, all your credits, your direct deposits, and what if I told you that there's banks out there that are accessing that information and it's for your checking and your saving?
So anybody can do that?
I'm not gonna say anybody.
You have to be in.
I'm gonna say your creditors, any of them can.
Oh, okay.
Wow, this is how much I eat.
Yes. They're seeing when you're at the corner store getting your wine every day, every Friday.
Uh-huh.
They see when you're doing your thing, whatever your thing is that you think you only know about, and the witnesses that happen to be in the place that just don't know your name.
Yeah.
Okay? So, this is the data report. It says here, all your transactions and the dates. It says how much money you have in your checking and your savings. Okay? And this is a data report that the creditors are accessing right now. You're thinking that you're telling a creditor that you make X dollars a month and this is what your expenses are. They see it. They see it. Okay? And look at the category. Fees and charges, transfer. They did uncategorized because they didn't want to show that you were at a liquor store. Okay? Paychecks, transfers, everything, right? Look at this. Checking and saving balances, current balance, beginning balance, monthly average. See here? You gotta have some people for this. Okay? Checking, savings, beginning balance, current balance, average balance, all your deposits, all your debits.
Yeah.
And this history goes back how many years?
10 years?
10 years.
10 years.
I've been eating recklessly.
You didn't know. You didn't know. So don't lose your focus. Now, what about when you're trying to buy a car? Do they have some hookup? Because we know that now the mortgage bankers have LexisNexis, all right, which they can track everything. We know that lenders have your payroll report, right? We know that bankers and credit card issuers have your banking activity report. Let's go a little deeper on that one. What banking activity report will stop you from opening a check account if you have perfect credit?
If you had previous unpaid balance with a
What's the name of the data report? You go into the bank, you got a 740 credit score, you have no late payments, everything is perfect.
Telecheck or?
yeah, isn't it telecheck or something?
They're used to.
Yeah.
Is that a credit bureau?
No, it's
No.
not. It's no, it was. I
Check
thought it was
down
a street
checks
through the
for-
bank.
What is telecheck?
A data
Data
report.
report.
What about check systems?
Check
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, that's what it is.
What is check systems?
Data report.
Data report.
Well, they asked you to pull your credit report. They didn't say, can we pull your data report? Why? Because they got you asleep, thinking that you're covered. Can you imagine on the dark web all the people that have access to your data reports because you've never requested them, you've never froze them, you don't even know what they look like. I'm showing them to you and you want to snatch them out of my hand.
Yeah.
Let me see that.
I want to break up with all of them.
Miss Joy. Okay, so let's talk about when you go to the car dealership. When you go to the car dealership, certain levels, now let me say this to you, because I want to put this in context. You have for your data reports a wealth score. You have for your credit reports a what score?
FICO score.
Credit score. Your credit score, FICO is the one most widely used. Your FICO score is to determine your ability to pay back liabilities. Your FICO score is used to determine your ability to repay liabilities.
Then what is the data score?
Your wealth score.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Where's your wealth score? Someone in here tell me.
In 89106 zip code.
Okay? That is a data point that speaks about your wealth. But where is the score? You can tell me the name of all the bureaus. You can tell me the three major bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. You can tell me the scores up there. What's the difference between Vantage and Advantage and disadvantage scores? You can tell me everything about that. But that's the ability to repay debt. That's liability. Your wealth score determines legacy. See, I'm getting warmed up.
Yes.
Now. I'm getting warmed up now.
Yes.
Your wealth, do you want liability or legacy?
Legacy.
Come
So
on now.
all you focused on is your credit score. You can't get legacy with credit scores because data reports will only let you go so high. Data reports will cap you if you're not working on them. Right? We know credit scores will because you can't get an apartment or a property unless you have 4 times income of the expected at what? Rent or, right. So are you capped?
Yes.
Yes, okay? So you gotta know the data report and you gotta know where your wealth score is. I'm not gonna tell you. That's part of the service, it's in here. Okay? It's in here. This is specialized knowledge. Call any other company and say, hey, do you guys do data report repair? They'll say, what is that? Oh, just hang up on them. Just hang up.
Yeah.
Because they don't know. Okay? Now, so you're at the dealership. You decide you want to go from your Mercedes over to Aston Martin. You're feeling good. You just got divorced. You got a little windfall of money, and you're in a midlife. You're in a midlife love affair with yourself.
Come on
Which is a
now.
good place to be.
Because you're never in a crisis when you love yourself.
That's right.
Right?
Never.
It's not a crisis when you love yourself. It's only a crisis when you love someone else more than you love yourself, or you love something else more than you love yourself. But you're in a midnight love affair. You just stopped loving somebody else and got more love for you.
Yes.
Right? So you done fell in love with yourself, right? So you're at the Aston Martin dealership trying to love yourself right into a new $200,000 car. Now you know your credit's good, but you've never been to Aston Martin before. So you just walking in on credit. You feel proud. I know it's not going to be a credit issue. I know it's not going to be an income issue. I just let go of my biggest liability, my ex, right? So I got a little extra money now, right? Okay? So it swings both ways, men and women, right?
Absolutely.
So you go in there, you complete the app, and the car says, right? You know that, when you look at someone's credit report before you tell them what you're thinking, and they get up and walk away. And you take the, well, what was that about, right? So you wait patiently because you know, I got a 740, 760, 780. I know I can buy this car. Guy comes back and says, I'm sorry, but we have an issue. We need you to bring in 2 pay stubs and 2 bank statements. And you're a realtor. You're a loan officer. You're a professional. What are you going to think about that? What do you mean? I'm not buying a house. Right? And so you say that. You say, what do you mean? I'm not buying a house. And then the guy gets flippant with you, or the lady gets flippant with you, the sales consultant. Well, this is the equivalent of the price of some houses. It's a pretty good point.
Right.
So you're stumped. You're like, oh, he's good. She's good. Right? But you still don't feel that you've ever had to do this. I'll tell you why. What's the largest payroll company in the country?
ADP.
ADP, yeah.
Ooh, how'd you know?
They've been around forever.
Alrighty then.
Even I've used them.
ADP. Okay. Now, what kind of report is a payroll report?
Payroll report.
Data report.
So what if on your inquiry, after you left the dealership, you saw a payroll company next to the name of the dealer? On July 12, 2017, who pulled my credit?
ADP.
That's not the whole word.
Oh, ADP Nation. ADP Auto Nation.
Oh, who is AutoNation?
Car dealership.
The largest
Car
dealership in the country.
Yes, now, yeah.
And who's the largest payroll company?
ADP. They partners. They in bed.
Imagine that.
Together.
They're big.
Who obtained a copy of my credit report?
ADP automation.
Woo!
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Who?
ADP.
AutoNation.
Wow.
Yeah, the AutoNation.
So, hold on. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, who is ADP AutoNation? So I print a copy out. I take it to the dealership, and they go, they're scratching their heads. Because the data report sometimes is above your pay grade.
Right. They know.
Bankers and lenders, when you're calling them the first wave of people to talk to, they don't know what you're talking about. Well, what about my data report? Which data report did you check? I'm sorry, what do you mean, sir? We looked at Experian. I know, but what about the data report? You know. Now you're badgering someone that doesn't know. So this gets handed around from the salesman to the finance manager to the general sales manager to the general manager, and everybody's like, who brought this in? And they're looking at me like, that guy, the credit guy. Oh, the credit guy? They come out and they say, hey,
Explain this.
we're not sure, Mr. Credit Guy, what this is, but you're not declining for the car. The stuff that they asked you for, the payroll, the check stubs, and the bank statements, don't worry about that. When do you want to pick up the car? I said, no, I'm a little concerned about this. What's the address on that data report there?
233 South Decatur.
So they're saying, there's no phone number, but they're saying, what company is there?
AutoNation. ADP AutoNation.
Google 233 South Decatur Boulevard. It's an empty lot. It's just land.
Wow.
What?
That sounds fraudulent.
It's an empty lot. Google it right now. It's just land. Okay? It's
Suffocated, 233 suffocated?
yes, it's just land. Oh. Okay? 233 South Decatur Boulevard, 89102, July 12, 2017 was an empty lot. Okay? So why would a inquiry for a company that's on my credit report be a blend of the two largest companies in the country for the services they offer, and you think they can't afford an office?
They can certainly.
Afford an office. So if you went there and you stood on the property and it's a dirt lot and you're looking around,
You can't ask them any questions.
was there a phone number?
No. So you can't call them, you can't go there.
Now let me teach you something. Was something there?
Yeah, El Polo Loco.
No, it's a new hospital, but it was, you could tell.
But there's not an automation there.
So it's a hospital?
Now,
Oh,
Dignity
the
Health,
Central-
it's the brand new, well, that's what showed
Dignity
up.
Health, you're
Yeah.
right, and that's fairly new,
Yeah, that's brand new.
yeah.
So ADP lost their space,
They're locked,
their lot.
because they built that hospital brand new.
Yeah, oh, okay, so ADP owns the hospital, AutoNation. They invested in the hospital. They diversified. Right?
They have so much money.
Okay. So now let's go down the rabbit hole a little deeper. What do you do to satisfy someone that you have impaired? You have to reverse the effect of what you did to them and make them what again?
Whole.
Whole. So what did they do to make me whole?
Told you you're approved.
I'm approved. You can get the car. You don't have the stuff. And what did they do with the inquiry?
What started it?
Reversed it. They don't want you to know about the data reports.
No.
Okay? Let's go a little deeper. Do you think I need to verify your rent anymore and call and make sure you only pay $2,000 or $1,500?
Obviously not.
We do, but they add that to the credit report.
It won't do it. You can't find that out on the credit report. But you can on the data report. Experian owns what?
Rent Bureau.
Rent what?
Bureau.
Rent Bureau? When did you find out about that?
Just
Just
now.
now.
So you didn't know there was a rent bureau. Come on, stop. Okay? So we got the city scores, we got the neighborhood score, we got the generational wealth, the generational curse. We know that the wealth score is for the data reports, we just don't know which one it is. I do, but I'm gonna keep it a secret. And we know your credit scores are for the credit reports, and credit scores are for liability, and the wealth scores are for legacy.
Sorry.
All right? Now let's go a little deeper. There's so many banking activity reports that it will blow your mind, but I want to take you a little deeper in that. This is me, Gabriel Brown, yes?
Yeah.
There's my bank account routing everything. Man. Okay? Go back to what, 2016?
Yeah.
All the way down to when?
2009.
2009, how many years is that?
10 years.
10 years? Do you see all my debits and credits and everything?
Wow.
Man, luckily I'm a Christian.
Yay!
I'm not up here doing anything crazy.
So take the cash out.
Look at this.
Bingo.
The following entities have accessed this information about you in the what? Last 12 months.
2 years.
Who?
JP Morgan Chase.
Wells Fargo, Citibank, US Bank. Guess what I was applying for with these inquiries that's on this data report?
Car.
I was applying for cars, credit cards, and they're all looking at my banking activity report saying, oh, you're approved for this. And I'm like, I got 800 credit scores. How did I get such a low approval? I got 780 credit score. Why are they asking me for proof of address and steps and stuff?
You used to walk in, they look at it and tell you to sign your name and walk out.
The data report. This is another one. 10 years. Okay? Oh, we already talked about check system. Background report. Preferred lenders. Look at your background reports. So let me make clear for you how this is happening, because I think that there's still a little cloud in your mind of, well, how are they getting these reports so fast? How's the creditor getting the access to the data reports?
They've always had it
CI.
at that point.
Okay? What's happening is, it's a desktop menu. It's like ordering at a
McDonald's.
restaurant. I want their Equifax credit report. I want their background data report. Tick box, tick box. I want the payroll report, tick box. I want the banking activity report, tick box. Submit. I want their rental report. Let me go back to data reports. Who owns the payroll data report that I showed you?
Who owns it?
Who owns that company?
Oh, Experian, right? You said
No,
Experian?
no, that's the rent bureau.
Okay.
Equifax
Equifax owns ADP.
owns the payroll report that I showed you that had the hours that worked. They don't own ADP, okay? They own the payroll report, data report that I showed you that had how many hours I worked, 40 hours or 25, what my bonuses are, right? And it was the report that said I haven't had a job in 14 years or 15 years, okay? That is owned by Equifax. So that's how the creditor can get that report so fast, because when they ask Equifax, because these she just got it.
Yeah.
Look at her. It went all the way through about it. She went to the original tone of the universe.
Yes,
She
I
went,
did. I did.
Did you hear?
I went into meditation for him.
Right?
Yes.
See that? I said I need to make it clear because someone had some cloudy, right? So these credit bureaus are competing for the number of data reports they can provide to who? The creditors. Aren't they always competing?
Absolutely.
Who's the number one credit bureau right now? Everyone loves to use them.
TransUnion.
Who was it before? Experian. Who was it before when we were much younger? Equifax. Right? So now that they have the data report from LexisNexis, which talks about zip code, crime rate, property value, education, income average. Now we need a data report that dials in on that. So we have a background report. Now this background report, who provides this background report?
TransUnion.
Who?
TransUnion.
How does TransUnion have your background report? I thought you had to go to the courthouse to get that. And how many reports is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 reports. We have a multi-state one search report. We can search multiple states in one search. So you think that little assault and battery charge you had when you were in college, where you just tripped and fell over on the, some girl that, whatever, right? And she pressed charges, and you thought, hey, that's been 15 years. Nobody knows about that. Yes, they do. Let me show you. And this information is not accurate. Look how many counties they went through for this search.
Wow.
Not only cities, but counties. You are not getting away. Okay? Now, guess what's crazy about it is that they I think I saw somewhere it was 1,300 or something, counties or cities or something that they searched. I can't remember what it was, I'll find it. But what's more important is it'll tell you that, ooh, this is good. Look at that big bold print. Okay, let's read it. This report does not guarantee the accuracy or truthfulness of the information on the subject.
Stupid.
This report does not guarantee the accuracy or truthfulness of the information as to the subject of the investigation, but only that it is accurately copied from a public record. It's accurately
So they want
copied.
to separate themselves from liability for it.
So they're reporting about you that they disclose is not accurate, and we don't even, we just copied it
From
and,
public.
we're just handing it out.
Yeah, so that you don't have to go through the public record.
Okay, so we know it's inaccurate because it has in here, look at all these charges. This is my public record. Look at all these charges. Each page has 3 charges. I had a capias, I had a failure to return a rental car, I had a reckless driving, and these are in all different states. I've never been to Santa Clara. Okay, unspecified charges. I have a felony in Ventura County.
That's because your name is Brown.
Common name.
But the
But when I had a mortgage company for 15 years, you'd be surprised how many people had the same names, and I don't care what names they are.
Right.
I mean,
But-
over 15 years, I had hundreds of people with the same names.
But that's a good point. But the creditor who's looking at that to give me credit doesn't want to lean to the side of error. Oh, he just has a different, a similar name. Let's just go ahead and give him the black card.
Right.
Let's just go ahead and give it to him. They don't talk like that in executive rooms and board rooms. They talk like if it isn't his, he should have cleaned it up or he should have disputed it, but since he didn't, it must be his. So we're just gonna assume that it is, and we're gonna mitigate our loss by not giving him the benefit, but we researched this to give ourselves the benefit, lender creditor, right?
But isn't that what that is for, so that they don't have to go that extra step?
This is for them, because what's one of the 5 C's of credit? Character. This is the character component. Okay? What about certain jobs? Will they give you a job with this kind of background?
No.
Okay? And if this is an error, what's the chance that they're going to wait for you to fix the data report and then come back? Now they've already first impressioned you. Well, he had 47 felonies. How did he get all those cleaned up? Maybe he got some special gift with that. Come on now, let's not play. Let's not play. You're not going to get a second chance for that job if you didn't know this data report would have this kind of information about you.
Yeah.
43 pages?
Hold on. Possession of narcotics and a controlled substance inventory. Obstruction of justice from a public officer. Controlled paraphernalia substance. Hold on, let's keep going. Carry con, dirk, and dagger. I don't know what that is. What's carry con and dirk and dagger? Okay, well I did that inventory, according to them. Okay, fine, driver's license suspended. A lot of stuff I was doing in Ventura. Oh, now I'm in Contra Costa County. What did I do there? Some kind of unspecified felony.
You were busy.
Look, hold on, let's keep going. Contra Costa, another unspecified, another unspecified. Let's see. Now I'm in Marin County. Marin County. Where else am I committing foolishness, according to them? Rule to show cause. I did this in Dade County, Florida. Now I'm in Athens, Georgia. Criminal trespassing in Georgia. Now I'm just, when did I do that? I did that in 2013. I was just criminal trespassing. I just went somewhere I was supposed to go. Let's keep going. Probation violation. I'm on probation in Georgia. See, it's funny to y'all, but to me, if this was your report, you would be offended. Like, what in the world?
Absolutely.
You would be at Channel 13 talking about, what in the world? Oh my God. Right? But it's funny because I'm in the business. So I use it in these meetings. Okay? probation violation, that was a misdemeanor in Georgia. Here I am in Hawaii, I had a felony in the circuit criminal court in Hawaii. Okay, so I'm all of credit card theft. Oh my God, look, credit card theft in Hawaii. And look at all these pages. Okay, and all this stuff.
Is that only for people in business or just people that's not in business?
TransUnion sells this to people that you applying for
Credit cards or.
employment, credit, anything. They can buy this from TransUnion.
It's almost credit and character assassination.
It's data report, because data reports is about your character.
But if it's not you, then it's not about your character.
But that's the problem. You need to know what the data reports are saying, because even the data report provider said, we're not saying that this is correct. We're just saying we just send it to people.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that being, there should be some law against
Absolutely.
just saying, I'm just gonna go, listen, I'm just gonna, after you leave, I'm just gonna tell all of them, I recognize you as a bank robber on TV a couple of weeks ago. Now, all of them are gonna be alarmed. We were in the room with a bank robber. Somehow it's gonna get back to the authorities. And now, and I just said, I didn't say that. I said he looks similar to a bank robber. But you can't just say that about somebody and not expect it to have some
Defamation of
impact.
character, there is a law, defamation of character.
Yes, but this doesn't meet that standard. Look how many pages it is, and it still didn't meet the standard for defamation of my character.
Wow. It doesn't meet the standard. Wow.
They still reporting it, right? Okay, let's go a little deeper. Oh, this is what I forgot to tell you. You're a sex offender, not anyone in this room. Let's say you know a sex offender. Which data report will provide you information via email that a sex offender just moved in your neighborhood?
Oh, they do have a report like that. I don't know,
Experiment.
but I know they have to report.
Experiment.
Wow.
Pass it around. Did I ask for that?
No.
You think the person that's applying to rent somewhere or live somewhere asked Experian to tell everybody in the neighborhood that? Does that give you a head start or you know, having friends in the neighborhood? No. Hey, Gabriel, please review your alert. There's a sex offender that just moved in your neighborhood. Now I'm driving through the neighborhood nervous.
Looking at everybody.
Everybody's a suspect to me because you didn't say who it was. You didn't tell me the address, but now you're just alerting me without me asking. Data report. Okay? Let's go a little deeper. So here we are. This is a credit bureau where this young lady applied for a finance loan. And after she applied, this credit bureau provided a copy of her checking account, demand deposit account activity. That means before we loan her the money, we want to see how much money she has in her account and her deposit activity. And the credit bureau provided that. And this is what the credit bureau says. In addition to the information maintained in the above credit report, we occasionally contact a third party for supplemental information in connection with a particular transaction in response to a request from a particular customer. Listed below is a supplemental data that TransUnion obtained from such third party, as well as the name of the customer of TransUnion. Who's the customer of TransUnion? The finance company. Who's the affiliate that provided supplemental data to TransUnion about the client of the finance company? Isn't that amazing they're doing all that? What does the credit report have? I mean, is the credit report being trumped by the data reports?
Absolutely.
Is there something capping your credit that you're not aware of?
Yes.
So this is what they asked. The checking account closure. When was the last time you closed a checking account? They wanna know, hold on, you're telling me closing a checking account is a bad thing? You just learned something. Don't close checking accounts just because. I don't like them no more. I'm just gonna close my 15-year account because I don't like the way the lady talked to me. I don't like the way they talking to me. I went in there and I stood in line, nobody helped. I'm closing my account, taking all my money, moving it. Don't do that. Account closure in the last month, 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. So what are they telling you implicitly? Keep your accounts over what? 3 years. That means you're in the what space if you've had it over 3 years? You're seasoned. If you're closing for 3 years, you're in that bad space. You'll close an account so we can't get our money directly out and we can't put a lien against your what? Account. And we don't have time to keep skip tracing your accounts with our data reports. You're costing us money looking for you. Looking for your money. You costing us money to find your money. Yes or no? They also want to know the average number of days between checking account closures. Okay? How many inquiries you've had for checking accounts in the last month, 60 days, 90 days, 180 days. Now check this out, it's getting ready to get deep. Supplemental consumer credit information. Somebody explain that. What's the supplemental consumer credit information?
Some extra stuff they want.
Okay, but where are they getting it? It's not on the credit report. Guess what they're getting? If your social security number is valid, okay, that's fine. If you have any bankruptcies, that's fine. If you have any collections, that's fine. How many times you went to an auto dealer to try to buy a car? How many cash advance loans have you applied for?
Those are payday loans.
Cash advance inquiries in the last how many years? 7 years.
Whoa.
Miscellaneous finance companies in the last 7 years. Rent to own.
Well, they're doing things to sabotage these men as well, because I received a check in the mail yesterday.
Okay.
Just happened to open it. Says, here's $250, just deposit into your account, and it's yours from Credit One or something. Capital One or something. And I'm like, I don't really need it, and they're charging like a $20 fee to use it, so I'm like, why do I want to pay you $20 to use $250? I don't need.
Right.
So if I use it, then I'm really sabotaging myself, because then it says that I need a short-term loan,
Yes.
which goes against me.
Alternative credit inquiries. Okay? So if you're thinking that you're applying for rental furniture for your child, who you just want to have a little furniture till you can get your money together to go visit them and buy them a living room set and all that, you just rent them a TV and a couple things so they're not on the floor. Well, that's not good, because it looks like you're using rent to own.
So wouldn't this be a good reason to use a CPN or a VPN?
No, don't try to nickname it. I'm not gonna go there with you. No.
No, the reason I say that is because now here you have situations like you just mentioned, like, you know, my niece is off of college, we want to get her
No,
something
don't use it for, I don't condone using CPNs,
Okay. All right.
SENs for anything.
Okay.
Why? Because the intent is.
Well, in this
what
case,
you've
the
just-
intent is good.
Well,
You keep forgetting yourself.
you're trying to show the bank, good credit report where you really actually have a CPN for doing bad stuff. So it's reversal. Some people get a CPN because they have bad credit.
Mhm.
You're saying you're gonna get a CPN
To protect
to
good credit.
protect good credit.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Same thing.
Okay.
Just use your social security number and clean up the data reports, freeze them.
Okay.
It's an easier move,
Okay.
okay? Instead of going through all this stuff and getting yourself in some gray area,
Okay.
okay? Now, I'm gonna open up the floor for questions because I've been yelling at you for an hour and 20 minutes. I'm passionate about this, okay? So essentially, there's over 70 of these data reports. This is my actual file for myself. I do this every year for me. I request them and freeze them, okay? And what this does for you is it 10x's your, I have to say potentially, 10x your credit data security, because now you're not only focused on credit report security, your credit data report security, okay? and it potentially 10x's your chance to actually get approved more. Because if you now have these data reports, which were inaccurate information, you heard that some of the data report providers don't even care if the information is accurate, and will tell you that. They'll say, we just copied it from somewhere and we're selling it. What level of responsibility or onus do they have in the data report area for you? None. None. They don't care. The credit report has the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, Equal Credit Opportunity Act, has everything, act after act after act after act, right? To catch people from acting up. This is the new wave, and this wave is taking off so fast that the Federal Trade Commission is having a workshop next month in Washington, D.C. about this data report, this background data report, because they say it's causing so many people to be denied opportunities for employment and credit. This one report right here. And so eventually they're going to get around to what? Regulating. But you're ahead of the curve because you're talking to someone that has been following this and tracking this for so long that I'm putting you in front of the curve. So you need to freeze these and you need to request them so you can see what they're saying about you.
Now, you have to request to freeze every year?
I do it every year because I'm just, I'm just, I'm extra. Yeah, I'm just extra. I'm on extra. Because they'll say, oh, we don't know you, we thought you took the freeze off. Okay, and yeah, no, so and plus I want to see them every year.
So if you want to get a home and you know that there's probably a lot of stuff on the data report, it's good to freeze it. But the person who wants the data report, if it's frozen, is it something that they need, or will they just go off of your credit?
Very good question. So if the creditor that wants to see the data report that you actually froze, now you have to have a conversation with me. Now, I'm sorry, I need to make a request of you. I do see that you have great credit. We don't have a challenge with that. But our company also uses a alternative supplemental report that we noticed we couldn't access when we tried it. Now you go, okay, so what report is that? Now you're having a conversation. And they go, well, it's called whatever. And then you go, okay, well, what gave you permission to try to access that report? I only signed the credit app. Now you get to just see how they're gonna respond to it. And they may say, oh, in our fine print here it says this and that. Now you have a chance to read it. And then, so are you saying to me that because my credit scores are not the challenge, my credit report's not the challenge, are you saying that this, what did you call it? This supplemental alternative, or what would you call it? Oh, it's a supplemental alternative report. So you're saying that this could cause me to not get approved? Now you have more leverage if you know it's bad than to keep it frozen and not give it to them and make them make a conversation with you and try to have that conversation. Well, I'm not going to disclose any other reports. You didn't ask me for that when I came in. Now you're asking me for that. I feel that you baited and switched me. I feel that this is, now you can have a conversation, okay? And then if you do know that it's negative, the data report, you can dispute it. My service comes with a dispute letter for the data reports, just like it comes with a request letter. Just like credit repair comes with a dispute letter, right? Okay, and a request letter. But because you're unaware of all these reports, you just living vicariously through the power that they have over you.
So you have a conversation with them, but you don't know if it's gonna hurt you or not.
You want them to tell you that.
Right.
You want the lender to tell you that. And based on how much weight they put on the data report, you know what's there. Okay? And if you haven't disputed it to get it off, because you just froze it, you didn't care about disputing, at least now you can say, the information on data reports are inaccurate, the FTC had a meeting about it in October and November, and I don't want to be judged on information that's there because I believe that information is inaccurate, and potentially it could be inaccurate. So if I release it and you find something there that's negative, you need to isolate what is causing the adverse action based on that data report. What's specifically in there? They'll tell you specifically your credit score isn't high enough, won't they? They'll tell you specifically that your debt to credit ratio is too high, right? Or debt to income, right? So now we need specifics on what in the data report got me declined. Oh, well, Mr. Brown, you got 49 felony charges, even though they're erroneous, they're still listed there, and we can't take the risk of approving you with that, so we need you to clean that up. Well, put that in writing.
So how do you freeze the data?
This is a request letter, just like you would freeze your credit reports.
Oh,
Okay, you just send a request letter. The only difference between what you can do with your credit reports and your data reports is you know the three major credit reports. So you know Experian, TransUnion, and you have the phone numbers. You don't know the 70 plus data reports. I've only gone over with you about 10 of them. So there's much more data. So this will potentially uncap your credit, potentially reveal to you some reasons why you were befuddled about being declined for something and you just don't know why, and now you see the inquiries from those creditors that you were applying with on data reports, and you go, I see now. I see. Wells Fargo looks at payroll, right? ADP helps with payroll for auto dealers, right? Now you're in the know. And guess how much more that helps your clients as well as your family members and you. Okay? Ask me some tough questions. I mean, really tough.
How do we start to utilize this and take this to the next level? So like how do we begin to be able to apply this and then monetize this as well? Okay, well, the good thing about it is the data report repair service does not come with a non-disclosure, non-compete. Okay? I essentially, when I sell the service to you, I'm disclosing to you the specialized knowledge that took years for me to gather. And because the data reports come to your house, they don't come to me. You actually then get to see all of them. And then with the system, I also give you the request letter, so you can request them every year. I give you the dispute letter, so you can dispute them as often as you need, okay? So if you wanted to monetize that, that would be a legal question between you, your accountant, and your attorney, because I'm not sure if you will need an entity, some kind of structure, some kind of business license, you know. But there'd be no reason why you couldn't monetize it. There's very few people on the planet doing it.
So do you use the same letter for each company that you send the data?
That's a very good question. Initially, we had some challenges asking these creditors to reveal their data reports or their affiliates and subsidiaries. So the strength of the letter had to be rewritten multiple times, and then we had to have an attorney to go in and craft it with legalese, and then finally we started getting responses. Okay, so the letter has to have the proper language in it. What is the language that the creditors call data reports? I call it data reports because the most important thing in it is the data. And as small as it could be or as large as it could be. And it is a report and it needs to be repaired. Credit report repair is just to show you that these two scenarios are similar, but one is widely known and one isn't. So what's the language that they call a data report in the legal terms, or when you ask the credit bureau or the actual data report provider for the report? It's not called a data report. That is what I call dying in the bag. So when people that come to my workshops just want to run off with the information and then become a competitor, that's fine. But that's like the dye in the bag. You got away with the money, but you didn't realize when you got home all the money's blue. Okay, you're like, oh my goodness, why am I gonna do all this blue money? You forgot to take the die out. And so I teach them with the die in. And so then they go on the internet and they start saying my stuff. And I go, oh yeah, he got it, they got it. But you won't really get the real name until you actually buy the service.
Yes.
Okay? All right, now ask me some tough questions about credit. Let's go on some ninja taxes about credit and then we'll wrap it up. Go ahead.
I have one question with,
Yes, sir.
how effective, have you found it to be to remove these? Obviously, you said 10 times credit. What's the time frame with regards to being able to expedite those?
That's very good. That's a very good question. It typically will take 30 days to get your data reports when you do the request. It just seems to fall under the same
Got it.
momentum and movement of credit repair or credit reports. All right, and then the freeze is done instantaneously because when you send out a request, the request letter has the freeze in it. Just like when you send a request for a credit report and you ask to send me the report and to freeze it all in the same letter. Okay, now let's talk about that. I'm sorry, I can go. I'm gonna keep going until you guys get tired. What's the difference between the credit report that you receive, or let's just say the report that you receive from the credit bureau, and the report that you receive from a creditor? What's the name? The difference. There's a name. Let me say it again. What's the name of the credit report that you receive, or the report that you receive from the credit bureau? Okay, what's the name of that report? It has all your information on it, your credit, all your credit history, everything. What's the name of that report?
Somebody help me out.
I don't know. We're thinking, no leave.
It's called a consumer report,
Yes, it's a summer report.
right?
Yes.
So if you write to the credit bureau asking for your credit report, what will they say?
What?
What are you talking about?
It's the
But
language.
the language, okay? The specificity of the language goes with the specialized knowledge. So now you know that that is a consumer report. You know that the report that the mortgage banker or the auto dealer pulls is a credit report. A credit report is for the review of creditors. A consumer report is for the review of consumers. Now, these supplemental data reports or alternative reports, when you write for them, there is a name for them. That is a generic name, like a consumer report is a generic name for all the credit bureaus reports that they send to the consumer. Okay? So we know there's 3 major credit bureaus and there's multiple minor, but I call the 3 major, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And the 3 minor are who? Innovis, SageStream, and Advanced Resolution Services. If you are pulling credit for your clients to get approved for a mortgage or a house, if you're not also checking their Innovis, SageStream, and Advanced Resolution Services, the creditors are.
Innovis, SageStream, and what was the third?
Advanced Resolution Services. Okay? Now, what's the name of the data report that is universal to all data report providers? Should I tell them that?
No, it doesn't. We want to.
I should tell them.
I don't want to do that.
Why should I tell them that?
Because they need to know.
But I've been digging for this information all these years. Shouldn't I have a wall between certain depths of information? Because I say for my voice, there is an invoice.
Absolutely.
Use that. For my voice, there's an invoice. All right?
Come on now.
Where's your wealth score? That's behind the curtain. If you want to get into that level of specialized knowledge, it goes behind the curtain. Okay? But I will tell you, it's called because I like it.
Oh, thank you. Bless you.
Okay? That's a universal name for the data report. It's a file, not a report.
Makes sense.
Because a report has a what? Number. A file a file walks in court like this. Your Honor, Exhibit A, like, well, hold on, what is that? That was a file that was rendered by private what? Investigator or a what agent? What kind of agent?
FBI.
What other kind of agent?
CIA.
What other kind of agent?
Any of the alphabet.
So they don't have what? Reports. They got files,
For a long time.
and when they turn the file in, then it becomes an exhibit, not a file, not a report. Data reports are the equivalent of private investigators that have files about you, not reports about you. And data reports are like private companies working on behalf of the creditors and the credit bureaus to help them mitigate risk and loss. All right, now let me talk about some ninja tactics on credit repair, and then we'll wrap it up, okay? I promise. We're only 5 minutes over, but we started about 10 minutes late. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about no data. You have a client that has 30 credit cards. 30. Okay? I have 52. Okay? I have 52 credit cards. How do you use 52 credit cards without using 52 credit cards? How many should you be using based on the protocols you know?
All of them.
What percentage? There's a rule.
33.
30%.
30%, okay. What of your limit on the card should you be using?
Up to 30%.
Up to 30%? Okay, so the 30-30 rule. The credit capacity rules, you're only supposed to use 30% of your cards.
Oh, okay.
The credit usage rule, you're only supposed to use 30% of the limit.
So you have to rotate them then. If you've got 52, you got to use a certain number of them, and then the following month use another certain number of them.
Pretty good. Okay. So the new rule is 20-20. 20% of your cards and 20% of the limit. So if you have 50 cards, how many are you supposed to have in use?
12?
Or 10?
Yeah, 10.
10.
10.
So how do you, by your comment, how do you get activity on the other 40?
You use 10 one month, the following month you use the opposite 10, the following month you use the opposite 10, the following month you use the opposite 10.
Okay, that's very good. So then you're only using your cards for 1 month out of the year. So
Well, twice a year, right?
okay, so twice a year. So if you only use it twice a year, eventually the bank will take what back?
The credit back.
Take your what back? Your limit. They'll reduce your limit now,
Yeah.
But
right?
that's not good, is it?
No, it's not good, but I'm just saying that's work, but you gotta get more use than that,
Okay.
okay? Oh boy, now I'm gonna teach you one.
Well, how do you do that? If you got so many cards, say if you got 4 cards, you use those that month, and the next month you use these cards.
That's the riddle.
use these
He's
cards.
saying you're paying them off every month.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay,
used
well,
to, well, still do, I have like bills attached to each of my credit cards.
Okay, so that way you're using them all every month, but just a
And
little.
you just lose the cash twice because I
Okay.
already have it and it just.
That's good too.
Yeah.
That's good too. All right, I'm gonna teach you a ninja tactic
Come on.
where you can use all 50 cards at the same time, but you're not using them at the same time.
That's something.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The sum of things, if you go to the periodic table, before we knew there was something behind hydrogen, what was behind hydrogen?
Oxygen.
No, oxygen's on the other side.
Okay.
Hydrogen was the lightest element on the table. What was behind hydrogen if hydrogen was the lightest element on the table? There is something which is the elements that have a number. We could wait.
I'm not good at this, but I'm gonna guess helium.
No, we're gonna use a universal term.
Okay.
if everything on this side of zero is something because we're able to number it, the elements have the smallest numbers of somethingness all the way to hydrogen, which is the smallest something that we have.
So nothing.
Nothingness. So everything on the other side of hydrogen was in a state of nothingness until we could number
Verify,
it.
yeah.
Until we could number it. You remember number used to be N-O tattoo? You remember that? You remember when, way back then when your mom and daddy would write the number to something, they would go N-O-1,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
N-O tattoo 2, right? So if we're in a state of nothingness on the other side, how do you apply that to using all 52 cards without using them?
We don't know, you're gonna let us know.
All right, so we're only going to use 10 of them in a state of somethingness, okay, with a number. The something is what on a credit account? Starts with a B.
Balance.
A balance. So now we got 40 other cards in a state of nothingness.
No balance.
So how do we have no balance on 40 cards, but they have a balance?
Cause
Are
you've
they-
had it for more than 3 years and you've had a balance on it before.
No, that's good. Stay right there in the pocket. It has a balance, but it's in nothingness.
Oh, it's got a negative balance.
There you go. You send the other 40 cards a deficiency balance. You send them all an extra $15 over the amount due. And now they go into nothingness, and because generally accepted accounting principles, banks and lenders have to report who they owe expenses
Oh.
and who owe them. So they're gonna report to the credit bureau every month that they owe you $15.
That's how I pay my utility bill.
And you're gonna get credit on the credit report, no longer no data, but activity, 30 day, 30 day, 30 day, 30 day.
Revelation.
All right,
Revelation.
yeah. And the credit bureau doesn't know how to handle nothingness when it's assessing scoring, so it gives you all kinds of random points.
Very nice.
Very nice. Oh, that was good.
Yeah, very.
That was very
Mama
good.
said that was good.
That was good.
Mama said that was good. She went from to. She went from guttural to nasal. Okay? All right? Okay, so that's one ninja tactic. Don't tell anybody. Okay? Now, how do you take. This is another tactic. On those 50 cards, so you have 50 cards. How do you take $5,000 and make it look like $250,000?
What do you mean, 50 cards at 500, what do you mean, that's your balance?
You have 50 credit cards.
Uh-huh.
How do you take $5,000 and make it look as if it's $250,000?
So together, they look like $250,000.
Yeah. How do you make 5,000 look like 250,000?
Balance transfer?
That's good. That's how you do it. You take the 5,000 and you're running through all of your cars. I call it the rolling balance. And to bankers, it looked like you spent 250. Because 5 went in, 5 came out. 5 went in, 5 came out.
That's
5
what I
went in,
do.
5 came out.
I do that all the time. Balance transfer.
Okay?
Well, I don't understand that.
What's
I'm sorry, I'm slow.
5,000
No, I understand
Times
the
50.
concept, but like.
on your credit report, it looks like you spent 5,000 on each card and you zeroed it out. So it looks like you bought something, paid it off. Bought something, paid it off. Bought something, paid it off. When you add up all those buys and pays, it's
I
$250,000.
understand that part as well.
Mhm.
What I don't understand is the first payment made $5,000 to the one card, and you have to manually do everything.
No, I'm sorry. You charge $5,000
Okay,
and you
pay it
Pay it
off.
off.
pay it off through balance transfer. So you never spent the $5,000.
It's a full circle.
Okay.
You never paid $5,000 out your pocket. You wrote a voucher
Just
from,
keep rolling it.
and you just keep rolling it.
I
But
thought that was only applicable for new cards. Like when you first get a card, they like you can do balance.
No.
You can do a balance
you can
transfer.
do it whenever. It's like, when your credit score gets to a certain level, when your credit score gets to a certain level, banks compete for you like you're a
I get them
celebrity.
every month, man, like.
They send you vouchers every time you open your
Yes.
mail.
Wow.
But
Oh,
aren't
right.
balance transfers, don't they charge you a certain amount?
But you're looking at
Good credit.
not the fee, you're looking at the effect.
The effect is
So
bigger
you're
than the
gonna
fee.
pay that.
You're
back
thinking about
better.
effect, I'm talking about effect.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would happily pay $100 a month to get
Yes,
that.
and you haven't spent anything, but the effect, the effect is the fee. The effect is, ooh, this person will spend $5,000 and pay it off. That's how credit card companies look at you. Ooh, they pay off everything. Let's lower their interest rate, increase their limit.
So do you still have a balance, like say?
At the end of the 50th roll, now you pay it out your pocket.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? The rolling credit card,
Yep.
$250,000 protocol. Okay?
Come on, he's warming up, he's working. Hey, come on now. Didn't I say this was private? He was tabling everything.
Okay. Okay? You got that?
Yes.
Alright, so I'm gonna tell you another one, but it's about business.
Okay,
And I typically don't share this one,
come on now.
but I know he gonna like it. Biz credit.
Duns and Bradstreet.
Dun and Bradstreet, beautiful, okay? Dun and Bradstreet, beautiful, okay? How do you take a one-day-old company and make it 2 years old?
Buy a shelf corporation.
Good, but nope. I'm saying, how do you buy a one-day-old LegalZoom company? You bought it on LegalZoom for $217. It's 1 day old, because you bought it yesterday.
I've done it once by mistake. And this may not be the right way, but, so, I had a real estate company.
Yes, sir.
I opened a similar name for my mortgage company
Yes, sir.
with the address next door.
Yes, sir.
So I had to have 2 doors because that was the law there.
Yes, sir.
And in doing so, they automatically just assumed that all of the credit that I had amassed from my.
That's a merge. That's a credit merge.
Yeah, they kind of made it like a merge, even though they didn't say it on there, they just gave me all the credit that they would have given me.
But that's a coincidence. That's
Yeah,
not a
it's
protocol.
coincidence.
That's a coincidence. But if that was a protocol, using the address, similar addresses to hope a merge happens, that would be pretty good. We just had a little hope in there, more hope than you would want to pay me for.
Right.
Well, man, listen, I hope this works. Let's just do that address and sit back and wait, right?
See what happens.
Let's see what the effect is.
Yeah.
The effect is you paid me.
Yeah.
The effect is we hope it merges, right? Now, if the effect is so high that the effect gets you emotional,
Yeah.
now you looking at me like, hold on.
Yeah.
So what is it? 1 day turns to 2 years. Okay, let me just give it to you. You call the IRS on day 2. Tell them you've been doing this service for 2 years as a private citizen, and you would like to get credit for the 2 years, and if you have to, you'll amend your taxes and pay any fees. But if you didn't make any money, and you amend your taxes because you made no money, you just sending what kind of tax return in? 0 revenue.
0, yeah.
How much is that worth? I said that to a group of accountants and realtors one time, and Oh man, one guy walked out the room, made a call. Came back, he said, you don't know how much money you're gonna make me. I told my wife to call all those people back that wanted shelf corporations. That's it, okay? I'm telling you all this stuff.
Keep going, the spirit is teaching, we're listening.
I'm telling you all this good stuff. Okay? Let me just give you one, just because I think it's good, but a lot of people will have a problem with it. How do you turn one auto loan into 5?
And that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. What you do is you refinance the auto loan every year, because you have a 60-month, the average is 60 months. So you turn one auto loan to 5. Why would you want to do that? Because you only have one relationship with one bank, right here. Right here, now you got a relationship with all the banks, and you keep ticking and ticking until you run that loan through all the banks. Okay? Only thing you have to pay is a title fee or some kind of registration fee. But you're going to create one asset that created a relationship with every bank, because you're only buying your cars every 3 to 5 years anyway. That's the average. So why should you just pay one bank, and then if you have any issue with that one bank, one late payment or whatever, now when you go to buy that new car in the 4th year, you've had one issue, right? Typically, you don't get the issue within the first 24 months. So if you're with Wells Fargo and you roll out of it to Bank of America, roll out of it to US Bank, now if you had one issue, they look at where you got 2 paid off loans.
Oh, so it kind of trumps the loan issue.
The effect. The effect is, oh, I gotta go and apply again, and I gotta pay a $75 DMV fee, okay, and then do it again. You're talking about effect. I'm talking about effect. I'm talking about having credit that makes you irresistible.
Yeah.
Not having credit where you get your fingers crossed and your legs crossed. You in the bank, okay? I'm talking about them like, this is great. So I had 3 car loans at the same time. I rolled all of them every year. So now when I go to buy a car, they say, he done paid off 13 cars.
Well, question, can you do the same thing with your insurance companies?
And
Will it have a positive?
what are you saying to do with the insurance company?
Like, for example, every year you go to renew your.
I'm not sure how that may work, because I think history carries more weight with the carrier than a new client. Okay. I've been with the same company 15, 16 years. Okay. Is that enough? We've been out. It's officially now been 1 hour and 37 minutes we've been talking, because we started late. Is that enough?
I mean, what do you got?
No, I'm not just gonna keep talking. I gotta hear the screams from the crowd, and gotta get a encore, you know? She's something. You know what? I'm just, listen, I'm just gonna be fair. I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna say, if you want one more, I'll give you one more. If not, we'll just wrap it up with any questions. Any questions?
One more, please.
One more?
You got it in ya.
Any questions? You got a question?
I do.
What is it?
I noticed that a lot of the clients that, I usually have to turn down have a lot of payday loans. Do you have any suggestions for them? Don't do it, of course.
Well, you know what you could do? As long as they have good credit, we have a banker that will roll all those loans out for them, as long as they have a service score. Okay. So what I do is I like to refer them to my banker. His name is Anthony Humphreys, and say, Anthony, can you roll up these payday loans for this person, so they can have a conventional loan instead of a second-tier high-risk payday loan company. Okay.
What
clients.
what is their position or title that allows them to roll up the loans?
Well, he's a banker.
Okay.
He's you know, not a conventional banker like Bank of America, Wells Fargo.
Okay.
You know, he's a
Secondary
broker.
market.
He's a broker that, you know, can potentially get that financed and roll it up.
Mhm.
You know, not as difficult as a consolidation loan, but, because going to the bank for consolidation is kind of difficult. But to roll those up, you know, I send them to Anthony Humphreys.
Okay.
Mhm.
I have a question, maybe
Yeah.
both of you guys can answer.
Mhm.
So I have a VA client who doesn't have any credit. At first, the lender said they can't do anything, or he needs to get a credit card, but all of a sudden, he's like, I can get him approved without a credit. What happened without a credit score? What happened there? Where at first he couldn't, but now he can?
Without a credit score.
Yeah,
Okay.
because he paid for cash, like, he's like 50-something, always paid cash, never had a credit card, none of that
And
stuff.
he was applying to buy his first house?
Mhm.
Hmm.
And he just bought a new Infinity all cash.
Huh. I think what probably happened is they have a banking activity data report that they use to verify in banking, average balance, deposits.
Mhm.
Okay, and I think that they just base it on the data report, not the credit
Okay.
report.
Makes sense, because I was like, credit report, now I
You
get that.
see that? Now you
information,
got
I'm
it. Now you got it.
Okay.
Now you got it, because they're looking at the banking activity report,
like, Yeah,
not payroll report.
awesome.
So they see the money coming in and out, and they go, okay,
Yeah.
all right, so let me just give you one more. When you talk to your clients, and you tell them, to boost,
Experience.
yeah, Experian boost. If you tell them to boost, that's bad.
Is that?
Boost is bad.
But what is that? What is
Experian
Oh,
boost.
yeah.
You pay
Oh,
them to
yeah.
boost it?
Oh, they have a new thing going on that
It's
they
bad.
sent out saying that if you associate all of your utility bills and all of that stuff,
Mhm.
that they'll boost your, instant boost to your credit score. And I'm like, hold on. Like, if you make that payment 1 day behind, or 30 days behind, or 15 days behind, that can have a negative impact. It might have a positive impact to begin with, the very first time you send it in, but after that,
Okay.
it could have a lot of negative consequences, and that's just something I just kind of evaluated for myself, didn't do any real research on it.
So that's the effect.
They're advertising that though.
That's the effect.
Yeah.
The effect is the cost. The effect is they're emotionally getting you attached to getting a
A higher
high.
score, yeah.
A score high. Okay, but when you really look at this, it's an emotional move because they say that they want access to what?
To your utility history.
They show that you've been paying utilities on
On
time,
time.
but through what? Medium, your bank account.
Oh, okay.
They're asking for
Access to that.
permissive use to your bank account.
Ah, okay.
Because the data reports are starting to surface,
Yeah.
and because there's no permissible use that they can really cookie cut for the entire country as we're waking up, there's gonna be frivolous lawsuits about how are you in my bank account, how are you looking at my payroll, how are you looking, and where is the permissible use, and the language and background reports that are saying it's inaccurate information, but we're still selling it, right? So the permissible use to banking activity reports, they're trying to make it something that everyone now understands, kind of like aliens,
Well, where?
right? They don't confirm that they're real, but they say, hey, but it's an unidentified flying object. This is a identified flying object. The data reports are unidentified.
Trying to check my credit score.
Okay, and so what are they suggesting? I'm gonna get to you. They're suggesting here that if you have an average of $400 balance in your checking account, okay, and you let us look at how you pay your utilities, you could get a 23-point increase,
Yeah.
but the average they say is 3%,
Mhm.
okay? Increase, sorry, it's 3%.
Yeah,
But what's the long-term effect of that?
it's gonna be negative.
you're showing that you only have $400 in your account on average. You're only 60 minutes from bankruptcy. So so the effect of the 23 points or the 3% points has a worse effect on your approvals going down the road, because now you already know Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, you got rent bureaus and all kinds of craziness where they're selling about you. Now they can tell the creditor, we got direct access into his account.
I only have $400 on any given day.
There you go. So you can't let them boost you and expect everyone to start giving you credit. You see that? So don't do it.
And what about like these third-party credit unions, like CreditWise or Credit Karma, and all those, are those just?
These are just new credit monitoring services that are coming up, trying to vie for space. I would stick with the mainstream, myfico.com, annualcreditreport.com, credit check total, experian.com. I would stick with mainstream. Okay.
I'm gonna, so that you don't have to do it more than one time, can I have you repeat that just 1 second? I'm gonna record it.
Which
So I
one?
know which four that you mentioned.
Which one?
Right? You said the four mainstream
credit.
The four mainstream
TransUnion.
reports. Oh, no, there is 3 and 3. There is 3 major credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion.
Okay.
And then there's 3 minor credit bureaus,
Okay.
which is Innovis, INNOVIS, Sage Stream, SAGE Stream, STREAM, and then Advanced Resolution
Oh, yeah, you gave
Services.
that to us.
Right.
Okay.
Advanced Resolution Services.
Okay.
Now, I want to give you all a closing technique, and then we'll be done. All right? So you have okay? Whenever you're talking to someone that you're trying to convince that what you're telling them makes sense, they're hearing sense. When you're saying this makes sense to you, they're only thinking about the sense that it will cost them, not the sense that it's making them. So whenever you're talking to someone to make this make sense, you have to cover both separately. Especially when you're talking to a man, for a man to make a purchase, it has to make sense patting on his head and sense patting on his pocket. And if you address both sense, you'll get the deal. Okay?
Correct.
Sense and sense, and you have to show them that. You have to write that down for them. Okay? Although they'll think they knew, but really it's new. And because it's so new, it might not make sense.
Okay.
When things are new that they did not know, they don't think it makes sense. Not
So it don't make
sense.
sense. Okay, gotcha.
It never makes sense because I didn't know. But they'll never tell you it's new. Okay? So keep those 4 in your pocket for closing tactics. Or at least keep them in your mind. Everything that I said to you today is so new because you didn't know that when I tell you how much it costs, it won't make sense to you. That's why you never talk about the costs. You always talk about, does that make sense? You get it? You get it? Right? Did you get it? You get it? And you gotta have everybody go, and then you never tell them about the sense. Have I ever said anything about cost of this service?
No.
And I won't. I'll make you come ask me.
Yes.
Because if I tell you and it doesn't make sense to you, you'll say, I knew, when it's new to you, I knew it was gonna be that. And you'll walk off like you knew something. You didn't know nothing. So I make you come ask me. Okay? All right, so we're done. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate you guys.
What was
wealth score.
The wealth score, the FICO score, and it
The
was
Sage Stream Advanced.
no, not those, it was another one.
Another score,
Mhm.
you have
Legacy.
the
It
advantage
was
score.
legacy.
Advan-
Oh, I thought he called it legacy.
Yeah, you have liability for the wealth, for the credit score, and legacy for the wealth score.
No, but there was something else you mentioned.
And then I mentioned
You said the FICO.
the FICO score, the wealth score, and then the Vantage score.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay?
Appreciate you so much.
Yes, okay.
This was
Send some people over. I don't do a lot of marketing. I just do, email. But, last week we had what, five or six? Yeah. So, and I'm just gonna keep going. I have an event that I'm doing, coming up very close, and I typically have a little bit more people, but I like doing this here. And I think the effect of talking, this with realtors and professionals is greater than just,
Limestone.
consumers. Because you guys now are able to go out there and really share this information to some professionals.
And you have cards?
Yes, I have cards here.
Well, yeah, I know we all work for the same company, so, and I'm
We
gonna
got
come
some-
You
back.
know what, even with
On
the information
Sahara.
that is shared, a
Sahara
lot of people
and
can't see it like apply
Eastern.
until they start doing
Thank you.
something. So if they're not.
Yeah, I'm
thinking
gonna come
about
back and
buying a
I'll
house
give
and
you.
don't believe that this affects them, when they speak to a realtor, it shifts their mind if you have the
Ms.
knowledge.
Bianca is the office manager.
Okay,
And did you get one, Ms. Bianca? Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, I do outside sales. She does all the inside. Our office, splits up the details.
You guys were on Sahara, right?
Yes.
Office on Sahara.
Yes, we were on Sahara and Buffalo.